Back out here today with the John Deere 318 project. Finally got the motor sitting here ready for the new starter, and I'm going to start by putting the starter on and then putting all the cowlings and all the heat shields and everything back on the motor. Alright, starter's installed, cowls are back on, and now to try to replace the engine into the machine. Okay, got the engine in, engine mounts put down, and I'm starting to do some of the electrical. Just putting that stuff back. At some point I'll probably get rid of these straight line fuses because a lot of times the ends of the fuse could corrode. It's better to run the new weatherproof. They got one with those two prongs, the regular mini fuses or whatever, the push-in kind. Those I think connect better, more reliably. Although this has obviously never had a problem. I think I'll just go to those because they're more readily available today rather than these glass fuses, which were the standard at the time this was built. So I might upgrade to that at some point. And just going and hooking up all the cables, connectors, choke cable, all that stuff. Some of that stuff will need some adjustment, but I'm just kind of getting it in place and figuring out where everything has to go. Always try to run your wires like the factory did, like this. They had a loop for the headlights. They had a loop for the headlights, and it goes right there. Just try to put the stuff kind of back where it goes, then I won't get into trouble with the muffler later or something else. Okay, so previously I did replace every piece of fuel line on this tractor, but I did not replace the piece that was in the engine because it was bagged up over here. So I'm just going to replace that piece there with the filter. Alright, I got the new fuel lines on. I did just zip tie those together. I don't know if I should have, but I did. Got the side panel on. Went around and did this side panel. Put the gas shutoff back through. I think these were coming out this way. It seems to make sense that they're routed like that, but I'm not sure because everything was not completely put together when I got it. Putting all new stainless hardware on everything I'm putting back. And I'm heading towards putting back the circuit breaker, overload protector, whatever, self-resetting. Put that on the side, and I've got to scratch some paint off the side panel and put this ground wire, which was also located on the other side, and I've painted that panel, so I need to scratch myself a good ground area and then bolt that through. Just continuing with the reassembly, I got the front front grille frame on, the replacement one. Got that bolted on, changed over the hood hinges onto it. Continued some more wiring, and I'm going to start fitting up the battery box, although I'm still waiting on some of the bolts that I needed for this. Actually nuts that I needed, and put that on. Okay, I've got it far enough for today that I can start it up because I don't have the seat switch on every time I do. Move it into anything but neutral. The tractor kills because the seat safety switch is still active and will kill it. So I'm going to start it up, and the one thing I'm going to adjust is where neutral is. For example, mine, I'm going to show you in a minute, has to be right about there for it to not go forward, not go back. It's creeping backwards right now, so I have to make some adjustments, and that adjustment is actually right here, this turnbuckle right there that we're looking through. And I've got to loosen the lock nuts and adjust that turnbuckle so when this is in neutral, that the tractor is actually not creeping backwards as it currently is. That also should get me, because that'll be in proper adjustment then, should get me, because this is neutral and the top would be full speed, it'll give me just a little bit on the higher end of full speed also, if this is properly adjusted. Okay, I've got you zoomed in on the turnbuckle. Now what I'm doing is, the way a turnbuckle works is you're going to just turn this piece. One of them's a reverse thread and one of them's a regular thread. So for example, over here, the nut I'm taking off is a reverse thread. And you'll just make that rod longer or shorter to adjust. So you just have to keep trying to remind yourself that tightening is loosening and loosening is tightening. I'm just going to take this nut and the nut on the other side. I don't know which way I have to go, longer or shorter. I'll adjust that in a minute. But I'm just going to take them both, back them off a little bit, so I can turn the turnbuckle easily, whichever way it needs to be, and then I'll just tighten up the whatever nut. It'll go this way or this way. This one should be standard rotation. And you could get this from underneath, but being that I already have the pan off, why not do it the easy way up here? Now I have to be able to turn that turnbuckle, and actually it's turning by hand. Oh, that's sweet. Alright, so let me start the tractor up and see which way it has to go. Guess it was flooded, huh? And I can already see the hazard right where I'm turning. Right there is the drive shaft, so I'm not going to be able to adjust it while it's moving. As you can see, it moves at a pretty good rate. Whoa. So I've got to figure out now, I ran you over. I've got to figure out which way, if it has to be longer or shorter. So let me see. If it was here and it had to be less far down, that rod would have to get shorter, so I'll turn that whichever way makes it shorter. And that's making it longer. I don't know how far I have to go, so I'm just going to go to about where I had the nut backed off, and let's see where that gets us. This time I'm going to move the camera back so I don't run it over. And I have not finished the new ignition switch, and I'm using a jumper, a super mini jumper pack, so I haven't really got quite enough. And I could tell I've gone the wrong way because it's already moving. So I think I was wrong on that. Start it in park. So what I'm noticing is this is a much finer hair adjustment than I had thought, because now it's creeping well forward and it was going backwards before. So I'm going to have to pay special attention to just exactly how far I go. Let's try it there. Park again. Might have just got lucky. I'm going to move the handle forward and back and just make sure it's where the normal position is. Try to lock it right there. That seems like it's happy right there. So here's the end result of the adjustment I made. Now when it sits in its neutral cradle, that's right where it should be. I'm manipulating the safety with my hand. And we want to just check that, you know, a little bit back is good, doesn't creep. A little bit forward is good, doesn't creep. That it's happy when it goes back to neutral, that it's not moving on you. It's kind of a safety concern if it was to move, you know, obviously without somebody on it. Alright, so at this point I got it running. I still have to do at least spark plugs on it and new ignition switch. Put the seat panel all back together with the seat brackets, the adjusters, the knobs, everything like that. And then of course finish rebuilding the deck. I have the parts, you have to put them all back together. The other thing I'd like to look at, I don't know if I'll just get a different rim or whatever. That one's kind of been beaten really pretty bad. It's holding air without a tube, I believe. But I want to at least bend those edges back so they look a little better. If I can't do that, I'll just replace the wheel. The front tires don't match anyway. Don't match side for side. They're not the same. This one's been replaced and the other one's the original, so I wouldn't mind changing them out anyway. But it's coming along.